Welcome back to another wonderful installment of NPCS All Podcast. My name is Derek from atop Derek Mountain.
My name is Kevin Weldon, Media Access Coordinator here at SMAC.
I'm Luke. You already know me. I'm not going to bother.
And we are talking about a grand piece of geekdom. We're here to talk about Lord of the Rings. Today, our MC is none other than Mr. Luke himself, where he will be providing us with the questions necessary to point and prod at our minds. The Istar in me is just boiling. But, so, the topic of Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
I am so ready to delve deep into a big portion of my geekhood because I've been a Lord of the Rings fan since the old school Hobbit animated feature that was kind of way creepy for its own good, to be honest with you.
There's a whip, there's a way.
Yeah.
It's aged better than the Soviet Union version of Lord of the Rings.
La 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 la, hammer and sickle.
It's not
Wizard
like
is never late unless coming from Gulag.
Frodo, the mines of Moria, nothing like Siberia. All right? Get in there and do what needs to be done.
What is it about Lord of the Rings that keeps nerds coming back year after year, new fan after new fan? What is it? Why is it so good?
I'll take a stab. I think it might be partly the authenticity of and how much detail they put into Tolkien's work, because Lord of the Rings is accumulation of a story that this guy had from his birth. In Tolkien's own words, he's been working on it since he was a little kid. The Silmarillion is a compilation of writings from his son Christopher Tolkien they put together, which is kind of like the Bible of Middle Earth, to put it simply. And man, they must have read that. They probably had, because when Gandalf delivers the line, he's like, "I'm a servant of the secret fire, flame of honor." That's a whole package of stuff to unpack just in that one little line. And the way his deliverance, I'm like, he read it. He read it. He knows what that means. He knows what the secret fire is and the music of the Iron Ear coming from. Here I am talking I love using.
Flame of Undune!
Man, I wish I could talk like that all the time without getting called out for being a nerd. You know what I mean?
Go to the store, you throw your EBT card, you're like, I, owner of EBT, flame of my bank account. The guy's just like, can you buy your milk, bro?
I did not overpay or underpay. I pay precisely what I need.
How much they cared. You could tell every ounce of the production from the dudes sit in New Zealand on the little hills. All of it just bleeds through the frame, and they wanted to immerse they did.
It was the first movie that ever put big scale battles for me on screen. Watching anything on Helm's Deep, watching anything when it came to the Battle of Minas Tirith, my eyes were utterly glued to every bit of detail that was on screen.
I think what's really cool about Lord of the Rings is how you can, if you just watch the normal, unextended movies, you get everything you need. Complete story, nothing new. Then you watch the extended and you go, oh, that makes a little more sense to that. That makes sense. That's cool. Then you start reading everything. And you're like, even the Watcher in the water that they face has an entire backstory to how he was part of the downfall of Khazad-dûm. Everything gets so in depth, but you don't need it.
Yep.
They tell a story that works on its own. Another movie that I always thought did that well was The Dark Crystal. Did you guys ever see that, Jim Henson?
Yeah.
It's very Lord of the Rings-y, but all puppets because it's Jim Henson.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing where it's telling the end of the story, where you have all of this backstory that the story's there and it makes sense and it feels real. But it doesn't matter. You're enjoying this story right here, right now.
Man, I think every time I watch the movie, how'd they fit it? Yeah. How'd they fit? I mean, I know it's 12 hours with the extended. How'd they fit it, man? How'd they fit all this? And it's every second counts, every little second. I mean, despite the fact they got at least half an hour of them riding on horses through New Zealand.
Yeah, exactly. Or climbing mountains.
But even that was part of it, just to bring you into how vast, this world is and how many different, how long they actually traveled.
I think the one thing that's really beautiful about Lord of the Rings is, like you said, those wide shots, those traveling points inside of the movie. There's not too many movies that go ahead and take the time to physically show where the journey is going. Middle Earth itself is so huge. The fact that in the beginning of the movie, they show me where the Shire is, and they don't show me a map until Return of the King, and I can know, oh, they're traveling south. Oh, they're going over here. Oh, they're going over that. And I can be like, oh, this is where they're going. And every single place has its moment. Rohan has its moment. And Helm's Deep has its moment. The Force with Treebeard and the rest of the other different Ents has its moment. And Frodo's journey takes a stop at every single one of them. He sees Isengard, and Gandalf goes to Isengard. So it's okay, I know this is near the Shire, but I don't know that it's uber close. But then we go to like Moria or Khazad-dûm and any of those guys, like, oh, now you're like the mid ground. And then Minas Tirith. Why is Minas Tirith so close to Mordor? Oh, you can actually walk outside and see Mordor from there. So like, it was beautifully painted
See
out.
impending doom.
Yeah, exactly. On the horizon, if you would. I'm not gonna lie. What a terrible time to be alive. Just to wake up in the morning, and be like, oh, what a beautiful sunset. Incoming death.
Crazy weird green death beam. Beautiful sunset.
There was a crazy green death beam. You're right. You're right.
Witch King of Angmar
comes
comes
out.
And then Minas Morgul.
And the Nazgûl.
Man, I hate chalkboard sounds, so I picture that would just be horrible, man. You know, when they're sitting right next to him as he's on his weird little long-necked giraffe dragon thing.
Giraffe dragon. I like this. Not even a Nazgûl. I even said it. He's like giraffe dragon.
As we're talking about, I mean, we know this world so well. We know all the cities, we know the major players, we know the quotes. But somebody who's never seen Lord of the Rings, if you have a friend who comes up to you and goes, hey, I want to get into Lord of the Rings. I've heard great things about it, I want to start. How do you introduce them? Like, what is the best way to bring somebody in that they're not going to get overwhelmed?
I would try to pitch the movie as a pacifist and his gardener fight a demigod.
Ooh.
That is a great sentence synopsis.
Yeah,
That is a fantastic sentence synopsis.
that or a group of people tries to return jewelry for 9 hours.
Okay, maybe not that one. I think something that was even more enjoyable about the Lord of the Rings series is watching Lord of the Rings and going back and watching The Hobbit. Because if there's nothing better than when holes get filled in. But I think that you'd be doing a disservice to anybody that wants to get into this universe by not having watched The Fellowship of the Ring. That's it's where it should start, because even with all the other context, not knowing about Bilbo and The Hobbit or anything else like that, you're still given enough salt and pepper for it to be a seasoned stew of great media. So I tell them to go ahead and start with that.
I'm going to combine your answers, because I think showing people the first movie unextended is a great way to introduce people. But you got to prime them that this is a story about Frodo and Sam, and they're just, because when it starts in the Shire and they're just having a nice life, and then suddenly their whole life is upended and they have to run away and do all of this. Like, that's the story, and that's what always attracted me to it. And I think priming people and just saying, like, ignore it. When they're talking about Angmar and they're talking about Minas Tirith, ignore it.
Who cares? You get excited later. Because I think that, like jumping off, I think that helps with the rewatchability. Because you don't know the weight of when Gandalf is just like, oh, it's the one, you know what I mean? And then you come back and watch it, you're like, oh, he doesn't even, he's figuring it out.
That look of relief when Frodo doesn't see anything in the ring, he's like, okay. Wait, there's something. Oh no.
I just love him. It's like, don't give me that ring. Don't tempt me with that power. Like, the fact that Gandalf and Istar, a wizard, is like, nah, man, I'm good, bro. You keep that in that envelope or on your neck. I'll watch you touch it. Gandalf's an asshat. I don't care what anyone says. What a d-bag. Like, he knows this little.
You picked it up with the
hobbit.
tongs, bro. Why can't you just?
You could literally put it on a boat and send it somewhere and never have to look at it again. He goes, no, this little guy right here is gonna march this all the way to this mountain of doom and destroy it.
And part of it too is just like, I mean, I always and still kind of equated it to like a little bit of a metaphor for addiction. It's just like, here, take this meth. Don't smoke any. And you're gonna take it to my buddies. And then, figure out where we're going. It's gotta go somewhere, but like, just do whatever you want with it. Do whatever you want with it, don't worry with it.
Take this ancient.
Oh, bro, it's a whole bag, dude. No, they're not gonna notice if any of it's missing, but like.
Sauron's the best drug dealer ever to ever. He was crafting that. He's like, this ring and this meth.
So what's something you either wish they included in the movies, or something from the extended story that you wish, had its own series, had something where they talk about these things that you feel like you want to see?
I have a feeling your and I answer is going to be the same.
I have to change mine because we talked about this a little bit.
Okay, so
now I'm interested in it.
Okay, I was going to say Tom Bombadil. He's a merry old fellow.
Yeah, and they never give him any light. He literally is introduced in the first book, and like they don't do anything with Tom Bombadil, and he's like OP of OP, from what I understand.
Yes.
OP.
Yes. Yeah, I think Kevin mentioned that he put on the ring and the ring turned invisible. He could easily have just walked into Mordor and thrown the ring in the fire and walked away. And he just wouldn't.
In the books, they're even like, it just as simple as this. They're like, hey, will Tom do it? And Gandalf says, no. He wouldn't want to. Do you know how the dwarves were created?
I think.
So what happened was the main god Iluvatar makes men and elves. Like, they're the children of Iluvatar, they call him. And he had this one son, one of the sons of God. His name is Aule, and he's like the smith. He taught all the elves how to smith stuff, and he loved building stuff. So he meet this little tiny dude just one day against Iluvatar. And Iluvatar comes, and he's like, hey, what are those? He's like, dwarves? He's like, did I tell you to make any people, dude? I'm taking it. Kill them all. He's like, okay, cool. And he's like, wait. They're all crying, dude. I feel bad. Just put them to sleep. So that's how they came to being.
Just
and
put
then
them to bed.
Yeah, just put them to bed. Don't kill them. But like, don't do that again. No more people.
You know, I would like to see more stories told. The dwarves are very interesting because I mean the families are so large and encompassing. The fact that the Battle of the Five Armies was multiple dwarves coming together, but like there's like an edict that the dwarf families made a pact of years ago, which is just like any time that you need to call upon us, we will be here if you need us to. So like there is actually stories that don't get told about the blue dwarves fighting Sauron when he's in when he's a necromancer and he's inside the forest. Yep. The blue dwarves are actually fighting him on the other side of the forest.
Dol Guldur or whatever.
Yeah, Dol Guldur, the dragons and the Balrogs that when fleeing Morgoth, they found most of their homes inside of the mountains. A lot of the dwarves lived in the mountains, so there's a lot of story there of just them being usurped from their home. Like when Smaug did it to the Lonely Island. Did that?
Not the Lonely Island.
The Lonely Mountain.
That's the dwarven rats.
Smaug is, I am fire. My D is not in the box. But yes, weird crossovers. I don't know about you, but there's no way that you're gonna pass. It's not gonna happen.
I feel like the blue wizards never got their due.
No.
They're just mentioned, and there's not like much backstory, so they could do whatever they want with the blue wizards. It's like they don't exist. I feel so bad for them.
Because, like, I mean, who do we get? Radagast the Brown. We got the Stoner Wizard, and then we got Gandalf, who speaks in cryptic metaphors and riddles and puts little people on missions of death. Like, I love you, Gandalf, but there's times when I look at Gandalf and I'm like, you are the dumbest Istar that has ever existed.
He shows up to Merry and Pippin, who doesn't know who he is, and he disguises his voice as Saruman just to be a dick. Like, just to be like,
yeah,
I
dude.
am the White Wizard.
And then they just got dropped off by a big old tree, and then it's like, oh, we're about to get murdered.
Yeah. Like, why?
Psych.
Give me 1 minute.
I feel like he always uses his powers in the most like silly and stupid times. Like anytime he needs to calm down people. Like, can you imagine him like at the dinner table? Pass the mashed potatoes.
I am not the passer of cheap chips.
He's in there cutting up people with a sword and whatnot, fighting inside of Moria, and it's like you literally could just pin them all to a wall like Sauron did to you, where he was just like and danced you around the room. Like, do that with a troll and beat the hell out of everything. Use it as a meat shield.
So we try to broaden, talk about a lot of video games, board games, stuff like that. Lord of the Rings has touched everything at this point.
Yes, it has. Quite the molester.
It's like the cranberry juice of pop culture. You can't escape it. Cran-wise games.
Cran milk.
Cran-wise games. Tastes like potato.
So if they were to make a Lord of the Rings today, and they said you could play whoever you want to play, who would you play, and who would be like the best? Like, who do you think would be the best person for you to play?
Realistically, I'd be cast as a hobbit. No other way. I mean, like, I'm 5'9". I like gardening, like being outdoors.
Yeah.
I get hobbit vibes for myself, but I think I'd want to be the mouth of Sauron.
Dude.
That'd be fun.
That would be so much fun.
Who in this world has the authority to treat with me? Like, that guy's awesome, so creepy. You don't even want to look at him.
The role that I would probably end up being casted on is definitely Wormtongue. Like, easily would be the guy inside the ear, being like, you don't need to trust him at all. These are people here trying to usurp your power. You don't want that in your life, do you? If I had to go ahead and play a role, I'm sorry. I think one of the best roles ever created by cinema, period, and by Tolkien is Smeagol. Give me that all day. Like, give me Smeagol beforehand and Smeagol when he's in the cave chewing on fish, doing nothing but, just making riddles to himself.
Bro, you don't even got CGI. I'll eat this fish right now.
Yeah, exactly. Bro, put me in a loincloth, my skinny, lanky ass. Dude, are you kidding me, bro? I shave myself bald. Like, I could bug my eyes out, dude. I would eat that roll up. It would be so much fun.
Hey, so if we're coming to the end of the podcast, I actually have a piece of information that I found out recently. Now, I want to get your reactions from.
Shoot.
So I have right here with me the documentation to prove it, and I'll just say it as simply as I can. Aragorn is Arwen's cousin.
Oh no!
Look at
not
right here.
Incest.
I can screenshot you this or something. I can't go over lineage because I'm still learning all this stuff, but it's in no uncertain terms that Arwen is Aragorn's cousin. Another thing they stole that Game of Thrones stole from Lord of the Rings, mind you. And which makes the scene, like, here, you can take it for yourself if you want, which makes the scene so much heavier, and there's a reason, which I was saying about the detail into the movie, there's a reason why Elrond is so concerned, and he's like, you need to become king, because he ain't gonna have his daughter dating a scrub. The only a king will do for his daughter, especially if it's his cousin.
Jeez.
Dude, listen, what is up with the universe trying to keep all the bloodlines pure? Were the rednecks really onto something? I'll tell you what there, Arwen. Find your cousin Aragorn. I heard not only is he stacked with a big-ass sword, but at the exact same time, we got a lineage to protect.
Yeah.
This world is enormous. And I think the one thing that is great about Lord of the Rings is it's a testament to time. This took over 100 years plus to write and to build.
Yeah.
Nothing like this, an idea comes with you in a week to 2 weeks. What J.R.R. Tolkien did something that's going to last for generations at a time, and no matter on who keeps on adding to it or taking away from it, it's still going to have its base set in stone, and people are going to always be able to find this and journey into this fantasy that will always have a place inside of geekdom. Period. Man, this world has such an expansive universe. It has endless amount of media and context you can go ahead and pull from or experience, depending on if it's video games, movies, cartoons, TV shows. I would highly recommend consuming them in any capacity. But
Consume.
Consume like you're the steward of Gondor eating a cherry tomato.
Home is behind that cherry tomato. If he bites into another vegetable, I'm gonna die. Mr. Shadow. But listen, I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in to another wonderful installment of NPC's All Podcast. I enjoyed this topic more than you could ever know, mostly because of the fact that it's deep-seated inside of my soul, and as well as my geekdom. And I just want to thank you so much, Kevin, for bringing in such wonderful insight, not only through Silmarillion, but tossing more elven names than I could ever be able to keep up with in such a new podcast. And Luke, of course, a house staple as well.
Thank you for being the wonderful, amazing host that you always are.
I try to do my best. If you guys would like to go ahead and keep up with more of these conversations, you can find these discussions on Spotify under Smackcast NPCs All. Search right inside of the search bar. There is a dozen episodes, if not more, for you to be able to listen to, and I promise you they're all just as entertaining as this. If you want to keep up with it on YouTube, you can also find the highlights on YouTube as well. My name is Derek from atop Derek Mountain.
My name is Kevin, here from Smack.
Luke.
And this was another wonderful installment of NPC's All Podcast. Have a great rest of your day. See you later.